It's only July, but 2026 is already bound to go down as a banner year for animation. Even with several potential best animated feature contenders currently in the ring, it feels like we're just getting warmed up, with numerous tentpoles and festival favorites on the horizon. Hi, I'm Nick Spake, and welcome to Cartoon Contender, where we talk about animation, awards, and everything in between. Today, I'm going over my early Oscar predictions for Best Animated Feature, as well as other questions we should keep in mind heading into the 99th Academy Awards. For starters, can Disney get 3 films in? For years, Disney and Pixar dominated this category, but their stranglehold on Best Animated Feature has weakened as of late. Even post Encanto, though, the mouse has managed to get at least 1 nomination every year. Disney already has 2 strong contenders with Hoppers and Toy Story 5. One provided a much-needed box office victory for original animation, while the other proved there's still value in this legacy franchise. Considering that Toy Story 3 and 4 are the only sequels that have won in this category, this 5th entry may be another frontrunner. Then again, Toy Story 5 could follow the same path as Finding Dory, another Pixar sequel that garnered critical acclaim and broke box office records. Both films even have Andrew Stanton as a director, but Finding Dory ultimately wasn't nominated. Of course, Finding Dory had to compete with 2 original Disney movies that became instant classics, Zootopia and Moana. While Hoppers is wonderful, it didn't reach the same heights as Zootopia. Disney's Hexed remains a wild card, although early buzz doesn't suggest the next Moana. The fantasy adventure has faced behind-the-scenes shakeups, and the trailer has been described as generic at best. The same could be said about Tangled and Frozen, however. I personally think some of the online discourse surrounding Hexed has been blown out of proportion. Even if Hexed does become the surprise hit of the holiday season, though, Disney may have their work cut out getting 3 films nominated. They've done it before, with Encanto getting nominated against Luca and Raya and the Last Dragon. As you'll see throughout this video, though, 2026 is such a stacked year for animation that there just might not be room for 3 Disney films, or even 2. Will GOAT continue Sony's hot streak? Sony Pictures Animation has been on a hot streak ever since the Oscar-winning Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Last year's K-pop Demon Hunters exceeded every expectation, capping off its victory with the Oscar. It's kind of backwards that K-pop Demon Hunters went straight to streaming while GOAT got a theatrical release. That's not to say GOAT is a bad movie. Far from it. Tyree Dillahay's film bursts with kinetic energy, depicting basketball, or roarball, as only animation can. Let's be honest though, GOAT didn't have the same cultural impact as K-pop Demon Hunters, even with a solid box office run. Reviews should be strong enough to keep GOAT in the best animated feature conversation. If the second half of 2026 delivers several bangers though, Sony might get benched. Which festival players will factor in? In past years, there's usually been 1 or 2 festival players in the Oscar conversation. This year, international animation could practically have its own category. Cannes alone hosted 9 animated features. Blaze, In Waves, Iron Boy, Gym Queen, Lucy Lost, Tangles, Vertiginous, Viva Carmen, and We Are Aliens. To qualify for Oscar consideration, though, these films need a US distribution. 2 of the aforementioned picked up distribution out of Cannes. In Waves is headed to Netflix, while Iron Boy landed at Sony Pictures Classics. Iron Boy notably won a special jury prize at Cannes. At Annecy, Iron Boy took home 3 prizes, including the Audience Award for Best Feature. However, the Crystal for Best Feature went to The Violinist. Going up against several films that had already generated buzz at Cannes, The Violinist wasn't on many radars heading into Annecy. With its Crystal victory, though, it'll surely be a contender heading into awards season. Argo won the Crystal last year, while Memoir of a Snail won the year before. Both were nominated for the Oscar, and The Violinist may follow a similar trajectory. It doesn't hurt that Raul Garcia, who co-directed The Violinist with Irvin Hahn, is beloved among his animation peers in the Academy. On the heels of Annecy, The Violinist and Iron Boy are in the best positions to go from the festival circuit to the Oscars. There's still room for other films to break through, however. While I'm still working through every festival player, my favorite thus far is Tangles, a deeply emotional family drama that centers on a matriarch losing herself to Alzheimer's. With an all-star cast that includes Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Bryan Cranston, and Seth Rogen, among others, Tangles could resonate with the Academy's largest voting bloc, actors. Like several of the aforementioned festival players, though, Tangles needs US distribution. Which distributors will throw their hats into the ring? Will G-Kids pick up any more films? Between The Secret of Kells and The Boy and the Heron, G-Kids went from the little distributor that could to a certified Oscar winner. G-Kids has released a few acclaimed animated films in 2026, including All You Need Is Kill, Another Word, and Decorado. Their Oscar push will probably be Shaun the Sheep, The Beast of Mossy Bottom. The last two Shaun the Sheep movies achieved near-perfect Rotten Tomatoes scores to go with their Oscar nominations. The Beast of Mossy Bottom might too, although G-Kids can pick up a few more films before the year's out. While this is pure speculation, I wouldn't be surprised if G-Kids acquired Julian. Given the distributor's history with Cartoon Saloon, Lucy Lost could be a good fit for G-Kids, with an art style that calls Studio Ghibli to mind. G-Kids could also pick up Viva Carmen, having released Sebastian Laudenbach's last directorial outing, Chicken for Linda. With The Violinist winning at Annecy, maybe that will be G-Kids' priority. Then again, G-Kids isn't the only distributor that might be in the market for more Best Animated Feature contenders. Following their success with films like Arco and Robot Dreams, Neon may acquire an animated film this year. Netflix is another option, although their slate is pretty full. On that note, will Netflix have another breakout hit? In addition to the aforementioned End Waves, Netflix distributed Mexico's first stop-motion animated feature, I Am Frank Alda, and the anime Cosmic Princess Kaguya. The streamer also has the fractured Cinderella story Steps on their docket. After a couple of misfires, Skydance Animation's Swapped proved to be a surprise success for Netflix. If a Skydance film can nab Netflix an Oscar nomination, though, it'll likely be Brad Bird's longtime passion project, Ray Gunn. Since their debut with Luck, Skydance has struggled to form an identity that distinguishes it from other animation studios. Ray Gunn could do for Skydance what Into the Spider-Verse did for Sony, standing out with a neo-noir style and a more mature tone. Between The Incredibles, Ratatouille, and Incredibles 2, Bird has yet to miss a nomination since the category's inception. We could theoretically see Bird go up against Andrew Stanton for Toy Story 5. John Lasseter is also a producer on Ray Gunn, meaning 3 Pixar alumni could be nominated this year. Interestingly, Paramount Skydance beat out Netflix in the bid for Warner Brothers, putting Ray Gunn in a somewhat awkward position. Maybe that's why Netflix is releasing Ray Gunn on December 18th, the same day as Avengers Doomsday and Dune Part 3. Netflix also gave Ray Gunn's IMAX slot to David Fincher's The Adventures of Cliff Booth. I think that's still what it's being called, we'll see. This isn't to say that Netflix is burying Ray Gunn. The film headlined Netflix's showcase at Annecy, where the reception was nothing short of ecstatic. If Ray Gunn is a hit, Netflix will give it the K-pop Demon Hunters treatment as far as awards go. Even if Ray Gunn does emerge as a formidable awards player, though, it could be met with hesitation due to 2 individuals involved. In addition to Lasseter, whose name carries some uneasy tension since his controversial Pixar exit, one of the film's other producers is Paramount Skydance CEO David Ellison. Ellison's hostile takeover bid for Warner Brothers Discovery has been frowned upon across the industry, with many feeling it only stands to make the rich richer, while countless jobs and opportunities are left on the chopping block. Between Lasseter and Ellison, a few may refuse to vote for Ray Gunn out of protest. That said, if films like Midnight in Paris, Bohemian Rhapsody, and Hacksaw Ridge have proved anything, it's that the Academy can separate the artist from the art. If people love Ray Gunn, they're going to vote for it, regardless of any baggage. Besides, Brad Bird is still a respected figure. As long as he's the one doing most of the press for Ray Gunn, It can tiptoe around the producers, who may or may not share in the nomination anyway. They probably will, though. Will Forgotten Island be one to remember? The Super Mario Galaxy movie may win Universal the Bank of America award. Minions and Monsters was surprisingly delightful, with the Oscars even factoring into the plot. Universal's best shot at an Oscar nomination, though, is DreamWorks' Forgotten Island. Directors Joel Crawford and Januel Mercado previously worked on the Best Animated Feature-nominated Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. While nothing could beat Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio that year, The Last Wish perhaps came closer to a win than anyone could have anticipated. Residual goodwill from that sequel/spin-off could carry over to this original film about friendship and nostalgia. While Forgotten Island has yet to officially screen for critics, the footage shown at CinemaCon earlier this year ignited overwhelmingly positive reactions. The reception at Annecy was equally encouraging. As such, the question might not be whether or not Forgotten Island will get nominated, but rather, can it bring DreamWorks back into the winner's circle? They came close with The Wild Robot a couple of years ago. Forgotten Island may go all the way. Will Coyote vs. Acme qualify? Coyote vs. Acme may be the most unique case for a few reasons. Although Looney Tunes was their flagship franchise for decades, Warner Brothers attempted to give this film the tax write-off treatment. Ketchup Entertainment thankfully saved Coyote vs. Acme, just as they did with The Day the Earth Blew Up. Considering how WB did the film dirty, one could imagine Oscar voters wanting to champion Coyote vs. Acme, especially if reviews and box office vindicate Ketchup's acquisition. Even if the film is an overall success, Coyote vs. Acme mixes animation and live action. Rules specify that animated characters need to appear in 75% of a film to qualify. Looney Tunes Back in Action met this threshold back in 2003. While Back in Action wasn't nominated, Marcel the Shell of Shoes On was a few years back. The animation branch isn't above nominating a hybrid feature, but Coyote vs. Acme needs to qualify first. The Sheep Detectives may be in a similar position, although that one seems more live action than animation. In other Looney Tunes news, the short Daffy season will be playing with the Cat in the Hat. Can we get Daffy Duck an Oscar nomination already? Is there still a road to Oscar eligibility for Avatar: Aang, The Last Airbender? In yet another brilliant move from Paramount, The Angry Birds Movie 3 and Paw Patrol: The Dino Movie are both getting theatrical releases, while Avatar: Aang, The Last Airbender got downgraded to a streaming exclusive. I wanted to believe that the outcry across social media might convince Paramount to give Avatar: Aang the big screen treatment as originally planned. With an online leak already exposing the film to millions, though, Paramount has even less reason to theatrically distribute it. At this point, Avatar: Aang would have to do K-pop Demon Hunters numbers on Paramount Plus to warrant a last-minute qualifying Oscar run. With that being highly unlikely, Avatar: Aang can always compete for an Emmy instead. Can Laika finally win with Wildwood? From Coraline to Missing Link, Laika has been nominated for every feature it's produced thus far. They arguably came close to a win with Kubo and the Two Strings, which brought Travis Knight the BAFTA. Knight returns to direct Wildwood, an adaptation of Colin Malloy and Carson Ellis's book that's been in Laika's pipeline for over a decade. For many, this fantasy epic is their most anticipated animated movie of the year. This is reflected in its teaser trailer, which has accumulated almost 90 million views on YouTube. For context, the Toy Story 3 trailer, which was released months earlier, has over 23 million views on Pixar's YouTube page. That's not to say Wildwood will come close to outgrossing Toy Story 5, but if hits like Obsession and Backrooms proved anything this year, it's that a strong online presence can translate to big box office. Granted, Laika has generally performed better critically than financially. Wildwood also lacks a traditional distributor. Fathom Entertainment, which also handled the release of The Amazing Digital Circus, The Last Act, is giving Wildwood a theatrical release. Fathom has never been an Oscar player in the past. If reviews live up to expectations and audiences show up, though, the work will be half done for Fathom in terms of campaigning. With Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio winning a few years ago, now seems like Laika's turn. So, what's getting nominated? Of the animated films released so far this year, Toy Story 5 has the box office, reviews, and timely tech commentary to make the Oscar lineup. Unless it misses at several key precursor awards like Finding Dory did, I'm not betting against a Toy Story movie. If Wildwood and Forgotten Island meet expectations, either could emerge as the frontrunner. As for international animation, The Violinist seems to be playing all the right notes after Annecy. With Iron Boy also doing quite well on the festival circuit, my instincts tell me that it will get the final slot. Yet, my heart keeps telling me that Tangles can still gain momentum, especially if its cast hits the campaign trail with the filmmakers. Ray Gunn and Hoppers are also very much in this, heating up what's sure to be one of the tightest races this Oscar season. I'm sure my predictions will change as we get closer to the 99th Academy Awards. For now though, my predictions are Wildwood, Forgotten Island, Toy Story 5, The Violinist, and Tangles. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and for more updates on animation, awards, and everything in between, check out my site cartooncontender.com. Also check out my books Bright and Shiny, A History of Animation at Award Shows, Volumes 1 through 3 available now wherever books and ebooks are sold.